Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve Ramona and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am extremely thrilled to have you join us today. We're exploring the idea with this podcast of doing business and doing life with a purpose, and that purpose being having a servant's heart. Imagine having a servant's heart and impacting and changing somebody's world. We also dedicated this show to educate you, motivate you, invite you, inspire you, promote you, whatever. But you know the three words if you listen to my podcast. That's the goal today. I want to make a little difference in your world. And while you're listening to my incredible guests today, here's your call to action. How are you going to serve yourself today and others? And what impact will you create today? Let's not wait on that. Let's do it today. Let's make a difference with somebody today. And today's episode is proudly sponsored by our incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Would you like to be part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries? Together, we are building a thought leader platform to impact and change the world. For more information on Pantheon, just reach out to me and I'll get you all that information. With that being said, don't you think stories make an impact, can make a difference? They do. A lot of people out there don't know how to do it. If you're one of those people, you need to listen to this show, because I tell you, when I tell a story, and I just got feedback this morning from a speaking gig I did Friday, the story I told still resonates with them 3 days or 4 days later. So today I want to welcome to our show, Chris Templeton. Welcome,
Thank
Chris.
you, Steve. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And just to be clear for your audience, we're going to talk about the stories that we tell ourselves up here all day long and how they impact how we walk in the world. So
Let's jump into that, because you said you have a model. I want to jump right into the model that you're working with to help people in their stories in their head.
Well, basically, what happened about 21 years ago, I read a book was referred to me by my, as she loved to call herself, evil stepmother, who said, she said, Chris, try reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is a pretty big book in the kind of spiritual world. And what hit me about it was, he says at some point, we're all narrating what we're feeling and what we're seeing in the world. And sometimes we see, the guy walking down the street who's just saying it all out loud, but we're all doing it. It's like, no, that's not me. And then I was like, wait a minute. I just said, no, that's not me. And all of a sudden it became very clear that, we're constantly narrating what's going on about ourselves and about the world, and our family, our bosses, our employees, whatever the case may be. And what came of that were three questions. What's the story I'm telling in my head about myself or about the world around me? Parenting, partners, leading employees, doesn't matter. And then the second question is it serving me in this moment? Not 5 minutes ago, not when I was growing up, but right here and now. Is the story I'm telling serving myself? And oh my, think about, Steve, if bosses just had those two questions. What's the story I'm telling about what's going on? And is it serving me? And then the third question is there a more authentic story if it's not serving you? So what it ended up being was this way for us to create self-awareness, create self-understanding. Oh my God, there I go telling a story that's not serving me, which I call little me land or lesser me land. And then, oh, you know what? I do want to tell a more authentic story. And so understanding kind of this three questions created this model where it turns out if you took a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, turned it sideways, drew a line right, horizontal line right through the middle. If the second question is this serving me? If it's not, we say that's above the line in little me land. And if it's is serving me, yeah, this is, you know what? I'm on the right track. Good. That's our authentic self. And why it becomes so important is bad relationships, bad working environments. I mean, it's just everywhere. And yet, what people seem to think is it's all out there. And well, what's out there is out there. What's inside my head and how I'm narrating that just makes all the difference in the world. I'm sure you've heard people say, "Oh, Steve, you create your own reality," and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, kill me now." But then, when you start to recognize how you narrate what's going on and how negative it can be, and then realize, oh my God, I could tell a more authentic story, all of a sudden I'm a better partner, I'm a better parent, and I'm a much better employer, and hopefully, and I'm a better employee. So it's very, very simple, but the heart of it is that it's universal, that can be applied to any situation. Nobody needs to know any of the model in order for it to impact how you change, how you walk in the world. And isn't that really what we all want to do? We want to be in a place where the way we walk in the world feels purposeful and filled with meaning.
What I'm hearing is being present, which is with the story in your head. Be present with yourself. Don't be past or future, which is fantastic. And the other thing, which I want you to talk about, is change. If the story is not purposeful, which I love that word, thank you. People don't change. I mean, that's the problem with the world. People don't want to change. We don't want to change our election. We don't want to move our business to this direction. We've been doing it for 20 years, all that.
Right,
How
right.
do we change?
Well, isn't that the most important point? First of all, I think we need to understand a couple of things. Number one, we are hardwired for a number of things that have gotten us to this place, this time in history. And what it required was way back in caveman days that we were super judgmental, deciding who was safe and who wasn't. We absolutely wanted to be a part of a tribe. We hate being judged. So there are kind of all these dual things that we had to do in order to be sure that we were safe and could make it to the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year. And here we are with that same wiring that is now got no lions and tigers and bears to deal with. And instead, my wife, oh, you should have seen what she did yesterday with no recognition of my coloring of what just went on. And so I think it's really important in terms of the how to recognize that we are hardwired. People call it the ego, they call it the inner critic or the inner bully. It's the part of us that can say things to us about us that we would never ever let anybody else say to us, right?
Yep.
So recognizing that, oh my gosh, I've got this wiring. We all have it. And I like to call it the protector because the ego and inner bully, all of those have such negative connotations. And what I think is really important in terms of dealing with that part of us is recognizing that its number one goal is to keep us safe. It's completely based in fear. And when you think about it, think of all bad management, Steve. Think of the micromanager, the toxically positive manager who never follows through. All of those things are us tapping into that wiring instead of saying, you know what? I need to let Jim fail, and then I need to help him to figure out what the failure was about, how to learn from it, and how to move on, as opposed to, there goes Jim again.
Yeah.
And that's all narration. Isn't it fascinating to just kind of take it from that perspective and go, oh, that's what's
Well,
going on?
yeah, you're pulling back the layers.
Yeah,
Mindset.
exactly.
Mindset's a
It,
big thing here. So you're a mindset person. I don't like coach. If I, well, it doesn't matter, but mindset's the big part of this.
it is. And I am not a coach. And one of the things
No,
that's really important, not that I have anything against them. I love
no,
coaches and I wish every coach would take this model to their clients. But there are a couple of things when I started really working on this that were really critically important. Number one, it had to be simple to understand. Like, and as simple as this is, oh my gosh, I've counted document I've been working on that has 99,000 words in it. Like, there's so many, like you said, so many layers that we have. And yet, going back to your question of how do we actually, put this into practice? Number one, make your life a practice. Like a doctor, like a lawyer, how I'm always practicing. And the reason is that gives me the room to make mistakes and then move forward.
that's,
It's
yeah,
so
that's powerful.
important.
And making a mistake and not judging yourself to move
Or
on.
knowing
Okay,
that you're or knowing
go
that you're
ahead.
judging yourself and going, "Oh, that's the protector. He or she or it is on the rampage and probably for good reason. But now because I have this understanding of that I've lit up that wiring in my head, I can hear what it has to say. And another big practice is letting it hop on its soapbox and go off because there's valuable stuff there for us to learn. But then we have to come back down to the third question. Is there a more authentic story I can tell? Let me get curious. Let me find out what's going on with Jim, or why is my wife upset with me, or whatever the case may be. Getting curious is another way to really get below that line where we're in an authentic place. And now I'm changing how I walk in the world with my business, with my employees, with my boss, and they don't need to know any of it. If they know it, that's great. But just the fact that I'm not running up to little me land and saying, oh, yeah, and now we're butting heads. Instead, I'm staying in an authentic place. Hey, what's going on? I appreciate where you're coming from. I understand it, or help me to understand it. Like, those are the questions that we need to be asking that are going to put us in a place where where we can really be servant leaders.
Yeah, I love being curious. You said that earlier. It's powerful. What I'm seeing here, Chris, one of the applications is sales. How many times do we hear people go do sales and they're like, oh, Chris, if I didn't say this word, I shouldn't have told the revenue. Talk about that application. There's a lot of salespeople on here.
Well, here's the thing. Think about a sales guy, and I'm sure you've been in this situation. I've certainly been in it,
Mhm.
where you go to a company and you're excited to be a sales guy. You're excited for the product. You're looking forward to helping somebody with what it is you're bringing to the table. And the first thing I start getting is no's. Nope, don't want to talk to you. Nope, don't send me another email. And we start to, and what happens is, this is what's fascinating. With each one of those, that little protector's like, uh-oh, I better be on the lookout. I better be. And then when it becomes enough of an issue and and because that protector is focused on all the negative stuff and not the good stuff that's happening, which is far and few between for a sales guy, at least initially, or sales gal, what happens is instead of that excitement ruling how we're working as a salesperson, now the fear of rejection, call, I got to get on the phone. I don't want to do that. And what we do is we lose kind of the purpose and the reason that we started to do this. And so it's hard work. I mean, I think salespeople are just amazing, especially the ones that really do it where you walk away as somebody who's purchased something and say, God, I'm so glad I did that. I understand why I did it, what the value is of this product to me. And most importantly, I've got a relationship with somebody who has helped me through this process of buying whatever it is. And it doesn't matter if it's an appliance or if it's life insurance or car insurance or a big boat. I want somebody who's there to help me and to help me to make a good decision. Well, think about how often that's
Yeah.
not the case with sales. And it's because we let that wiring really take over. And then before you know it, and you know as well as I do, turnover in sales is just horrendous. But it's because, in large part, we don't have somebody who is coaching us to help us to understand what's going on and how to stay. And it's not about staying positive, Steve. It's about staying authentic. Yeah, that was no fun. What can I learn from that call or that lost sale,
Mm.
that sort of thing, so that you're always moving toward the goal that you set for yourself when you started.
I like that because positivity can be overdone. And we all want to be positive, but we've met people that are like too positive, too energetic, like, dude, slow roll, man. Cool it down. So this is kind of like a balancing act for your mind as well.
That is a great way to put it. I say, uh, from the standpoint of that protector wiring, we need to bring that into balance and we need to partner with it. And it is a balancing act. And that's the thing, when you think about it, if you've got this line where you've got above the line is little me land and I'm authentic below the line, I also have a much wider range of emotion above the line, right? Below the line, I may go from, frustration to pleasure or something like that. But above the line, I can go from rage to toxic positivity and back and forth real fast. And so it is about balancing and understanding what I'm doing to drive my perception of what's going on. And just while I'm thinking about it, it's all about recognizing that the problem isn't out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that I'm leaning as I speak, and because when we tell stories in our head and they're a good story, I become better storyteller about my life because I'm going to be humble about, hey, when I was a kid, I did this thing. I took a candy bar from the store,
Yep.
but I learned from that, don't take candy bars. But if my head is in the right space with your model, I'm not going to say it because everybody out there is going to look at me as a thief,
Right.
which is absolutely not true.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing that's also important. I think you said it earlier, but past and future, we story tell about all of that. And so the question is, are those stories putting us in a place where we're feeling like the victim of them or like we're feeling empowered? And it is a balancing act. Like, people say, "Oh, so you just need to be positive," like everybody in LinkedIn talks about leadership. Just be positive. I just all the garbage on LinkedIn about it's just you just have to you have to be authentic with your people. If you're a boss, you need to keep them accountable, but in a way that they feel supported and not criticized, not judged, right? All judgment happens in little me land. Below the line, it's like, hey, Steve, what happened on that sale? Or, what's going on with your phone call? What can we do? Because I want to know what's going on with you. What can I do to be a support for you? How often do we get that in business? I mean, oh, come on.
Rare,
Who hasn't?
rare.
It's rare, and it's relatively simple to understand why people are behaving the way they do above the line, and also relatively simple then to start to do things that help my boss to come back below the line. Hey Jim, I can see you're really having a rough day. What can I do to help you? Is there anything like it can that can play out in 100 different ways where all of a sudden the boss is like, oh, I don't need to worry about Steve because Steve has my back. And then all of a sudden, as the guy who's the employee says, "Oh my God, I took some time to really understand what was going on with Steve, and now he's got my back."
Powerful.
And it just doesn't matter whether anybody else knows this. It's kind of magnetic in a sense where I'm building trust because I'm not judging people. I'm trying to help. I'm looking at the negative stuff and the positive stuff and putting it all into perspective and all into balance.
Yeah, it's powerful. We're coming to the end here. We got a few more minutes, but I want to ask this question. Traditional therapy compared to this, what's the differences and how important is this hiring somebody like you? I'm going to be flat out say it because I've had help with other people. It's hard to do it yourself, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, first of all, this is not a belief system. It's a framework. So as much as I'd like coaches to have this as something that they use with their clients, I'd love to have psychologists and psychiatrists be able to use this and say, hey, look, here's an easy way for you to frame up moment to moment where you are. If you're above that line, what do you need to do to get below that line? And so just knowing that, so it's not psychology from the standpoint of, and I don't want anybody to think I'm a psychologist. This is all about common sense and a little bit of understanding, kind of a way to frame up why we go to negative town so often. So I am a firm believer for the right person in psychiatry, therapy, psychology, meds, whatever is right for you in the moment. If it feels authentically right, by all means, this is a way for you to frame up how you're doing in any moment, and then also probably almost as importantly, what's going on with the people that you're living and working with. And it's pretty easy to tell. I mean, most people are like, when I talk about Little Me Land, they get a little smirk on their face, like, oh, I know that. And we can see it in other people, and why we don't have the grace with ourselves and with others when they're in Little Me Land to help them to come down. It is because of this hardwiring, and it can be changed in terms of how I frame it up.
Yeah. I love your servant's heart because you mentioned if therapy is a part of this, then that's a part of it. And I love the authenticity you say a number of times. It's not cookie cutter. It's across the board completely different because we're all different.
As a matter of fact, one of the things that I talk a lot about is, I've got names, the protector, the narrator, and a little lower, kind of where flow is, the inner coach. And you should name those whatever work for you. For a Christian, they might call the inner coach the inner peace of Christ. They might call the protector the devil inside. It doesn't matter to me. It's that basically I have 3 questions that help me to understand very quickly where I am in any given moment, where somebody else is in any given moment. Not always right, but basically when you recognize that the idea is for everybody to get to a place of authenticity, that makes all the difference in the world.
This is simple, but it's hard because the questions are simple, but you got to work at it. This is definitely something you got to practice. Love it. Love it. And we're not doing Allen Iverson practice. What do you know? We're not going to go there. If people don't know, he's an NBA player that didn't like to practice. I'll just leave it at that. With that, let's have a little improv. Let's have a little fun. So I've got a reservation at a restaurant for you. There's 4 chairs, one you're obviously going to sit in, and the 3 empty chairs. Who are you going to invite, dead or alive? Why are they inviting them? Why are you inviting them? And what food would you order?
Well, I have a deep appreciation for the Dalai Lama, who's alive. I'm going to have a conversation with him about there being another Dalai Lama because last I heard he wasn't hot on a new Dalai Lama coming in to replace him. So I would discourage him from that. I would love to have Jesus at the table to talk about his hardships and how he turned those around for himself. And I think probably Abraham Lincoln, just somebody who was dealing with some of the most vitriolic times in our history and had the ability to stay centered, didn't he? And work through it. So off the top of my head, so what would we have to eat? Well, we would have definitely Mexican food because I love a good burrito or a good taco. We would have street corn, which my wife makes. It would be hers that we would serve on the table, and then a little bit of alcohol, not a lot, and a good soda or something to boot.
Yeah, Yeah, I got something to wash it down, especially Mexican food. It's a little
Yeah, and then
spicy
flan
too.
for dessert.
Flan. I was gonna just, well, where's the flan? Well, you have something very unique here, and you're a blessing because your whole focus is the servant's heart to help people get closer to that than away from it, which the world seems to push us away. God bless you. Keep doing
Thank
these
you.
types of things. People are listening, want to connect with you and support you. How can they do that?
The first thing to do is to go to ohthestorieswetell.com. There are a number of pages that kind of walk through each of these things in a little more detail. The second place to go is to YouTube and search for Oh the Stories We Tell, and a little thought bubble will come up with Oh the Stories We Tell, and it would be a great I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe. We're relatively new to bringing this to the world, and what you'll find there is a couple of playlists. One's just an intro to what I've been talking about, and the other is called the Honesty Project, where a friend of mine who I had told about this model maybe 4 or 5 years prior to her coming to me and saying, Chris, I just can't get that out of my head. What if we did a podcast where I just bring up an issue, and she's had a rough upbringing and ups and downs through life, and I'll just tell you about an issue that I'm dealing with, and we run it through the model and see where we land. It is really lovely in terms of a great way to see how this works, how to practice it, and to get a better understanding for all the people around us, so that we're not running around judging everybody, because that is not serving us, is it, Steve?
Not at all. And that's a brilliant idea for a podcast. I know a lot of you hosts are listening to this. Think about that. And I'm going to actually think about it, because I love that, making it real, almost reality TV, but positive, not the
Yeah.
Kardashians and all that crazy stuff.
Well, not positive, authentic. Like
Authentic. Excuse me. I keep using that word. Right.
No, that's okay. I mean, it's
You're right.
because we default to it, right? And so
Mhm.
that's the beauty. It's like a couple of places I'll say, Melody, I think that you're in Little Me Land on this one. What about this? And she'll be like, oh, yeah,
People
it's pretty
listening.
cool.
So call to action too. I'm going to subscribe once we get off, because it's very intriguing to me for many reasons. So you go subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. But
Yeah,
also subscribe
absolutely.
to my channel. And here's why. It's a reason people don't talk about, but I'm going to talk about, and I've been talking about for about 2 months now, is if this resonates with you, these 3 questions, this story in your head resonates, or a family or friend that is doing this all the time, you go, you know what? I just listened to Chris on this podcast. Send them the link to the podcast. It's
Yes,
the
please.
best gift you get, because they can hear Chris. You can hear what he says, his passion, how it works. Is it resonates? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. If it does, guess what? He reaches out to Chris, and then months later or weeks later, he comes back to you, or they come back to you, that gal, and says, thank you very much. That made a difference in my life. That's what a servant heart does. Taking the resources given to you or you find and sharing it with others. With that
And
being said, go ahead,
can I
add
just say
something,
one
Chris.
thing?
Yeah.
When you're leading with a servant's heart, you've got so much purpose and meaning in your day. And that's where true, authentic happiness lives, is when I feel like I'm serving people with meaning and purpose. Makes all the difference in the world.
Great way to end the show. We thank you, me and Chris, thank you for watching and listening to this podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.